I, female 31, am going through something with my sister, female 29, that's making me question if I'm crazy or if she's just always been this way and I never noticed. My sister Olivia and I were raised by our grandmother Rose after our dad left when I was 7 and Olivia was 5. We lived with our mom Diane, female 54 now, but she was working 3 jobs most of the time, so we spent basically every day after school and weekends at our grandma's small apartment. I was the older one, so I always felt kind of responsible for Olivia, still do to be honest, but I also was Grandma Rose's helper. And yeah, I guess I felt special being the one she relied on. Looking back, I think I was her favorite. Is that terrible to say? But she never made it super obvious or anything. The thing is, my grandma and I had this really special bond. Every Sunday, she would make these amazing dinners, and when I was 9, she taught me how to make her secret pie crust recipe. Olivia never learned it because she was too impatient to stand there and listen to all the little details about how the butter needs to be exactly the right temperature and stuff. Since I was like 13 or 14, I've always talked about how someday I would name my daughter Rose. Everyone in my family knows this. It wasn't some secret or something I mentioned once. I literally talked about it at every family gathering for years. Grandma Rose would even joke around and tell her friends I was my namesake's future mother, which made me feel so special. For my 16th birthday, Grandma Rose gave me this beautiful heart-shaped locket that I still wear literally every day. It has her picture inside and Rose engraved on the back. Olivia was so jealous when I got it. When her 16th birthday came around, Grandma gave her a charm bracelet, but Olivia hardly ever wore it. I think she wanted something better like my locket. Anyway, fast forward to now. My husband Jake, male, 32, and I have been trying to have a baby for about a year and a half. We've been doing fertility treatments that have cost us thousands of dollars, and honestly, it's been really hard on our marriage. Jake has started staying late at work more often, and I feel like he's avoiding coming home sometimes because I'm just not fun to be around anymore, I guess. I don't know, it's really stressful, and I cry a lot these days. Grandma Rose passed away about 5 years ago. It was really sudden. She just got sick and then was gone within like 2 weeks. I ended up planning most of the funeral because Olivia was too emotional to help. So here's where everything went bad. My mom invited us over for dinner last week, and Olivia announces that she's 3 months pregnant. She and her husband weren't even trying. They were on vacation in Mexico, and she forgot to take her pill for 2 days. Whatever. But then, she says they're naming her Rose, and she wouldn't even look at me when she said it. Like she knew what she was doing. I immediately told her she knows I've been planning to use that name for years. She just rolled her eyes and said, I can't reserve a name. I looked at everyone at the table and reminded them how many times I've talked about this and looked at my mom expecting her to back me up. Then Olivia said, I might never get pregnant anyway. My mom jumped in saying Olivia didn't mean it like that and suggested that I could pick another name since Olivia is already pregnant. I swear I saw her give Olivia this little smile while saying it. I tried to explain why this was so important to me, and Olivia just said she was just as close to Grandma Rose, which is such bullshit. She never even learned to make the pie crust. She was always out with friends, while I was the one visiting Grandma regularly. Jake just sat there and finally tried to change the subject by asking about dessert. Thanks for the support, Jake. I ended up leaving, even though I kept saying I was fine. I was not fine. I was literally crying in the car. I've ignored like 3 calls from my mom since then. I swear I'm not usually dramatic about things. Okay, that's not entirely true. I did once not speak to Olivia for a month in high school when she borrowed my prom dress without asking and spilled red wine on it. But that was different. The thing is, maybe I am being unreasonable, but this name connection to my grandmother feels like the one thing Olivia can't take away from me. The locket, the pie crust recipe, the special bond we had, and now she wants to take the name too. Jake told me last night that maybe I should let it go for the sake of family harmony. I know he's probably right, but it feels like such a betrayal. He doesn't understand what this means to me. Am I being crazy here? Is my attachment to the name unhealthy? Or is my family being totally unfair? Now for the first update. So a lot has happened in the last couple weeks since I posted. Appreciate all the support. I've been ignoring basically all calls and texts from both my mom and Olivia. Like my phone will buzz and I'll just stare at it until it stops. I feel kind of childish doing this, But honestly, I don't trust myself to talk to either of them without crying or saying something I'd regret. And yeah, I know ignoring them isn't actually solving anything, thanks to the 50+ people who pointed that out last time. But here's the thing. Even while ignoring them, I've been checking Olivia's social media like 10 times a day. I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. I literally wake up, and before even getting out of bed, I'm scrolling through her Instagram. And 3 days ago, she posted these 3D ultrasound photos with the caption, "Can't wait to meet baby Rose." Like, are you kidding me? She knows how upset I am about this whole thing, but she's just doubling down. And the comments are all, "Oh my freaking god, beautiful name," and "love the name Rose," which just makes me want to throw my phone across the room. I didn't tell Jake how upset I was about the post because he's been getting really tired of me talking about this. But apparently, he took it upon himself to confront Mark, Olivia's husband, at our friend Chris's birthday party last weekend when I wasn't there. I had no idea until Mark obviously told Olivia, who immediately called my mom, who then called me 4 times in a row. I finally answered, and Mom was upset that Jake confronted Mark. I told her I didn't even know he did that, but she didn't believe me. Jake says he just casually mentioned that the name thing was causing problems, but from what I've pieced together, it was definitely more confrontational than that. I mean, I appreciate him trying to stand up for me, but also, that wasn't really helpful. I don't know what's gotten into me lately, but I found myself digging through this box of old stuff we keep in our storage unit, looking for something to prove I'm not making this whole thing up about always wanting to use the name Rose. And I found these birthday cards from Grandma Rose from when I was a teenager. One from when I was literally 14 that says, "To my Emily, who will someday give me a beautiful great-granddaughter named Rose." Like, literal proof. This has been my plan forever. So I drove straight to my mom's house with these cards as evidence. I walked in, and Mom looked surprised to see me, but also kind of wary. I showed her the cards and told her this proved Grandma knew I was planning this, and she just sighed really deep and said I was always competing with Olivia and making everything a rivalry, which is such bullshit, because if anyone was competing, it was Olivia. She was always trying to copy everything I did. We got into an argument, and Mom suggested that maybe my fertility issues were stress-related from dwelling on the past, which made me burst into tears. I'm already dealing with infertility, and she's basically saying it's my fault. She just patted my shoulder and offered me tea instead of an actual apology. I just flat out asked her if she always favored Olivia. She said she loves us exactly the same, which is such obvious BS based on everything she does. I left without resolving anything. And then I did something really petty that I'm not proud of. I took several photos of me and Grandma Rose from the family albums my mom keeps in her living room. I especially took the one where Grandma is helping me blow out candles on my 10th birthday. I know it's childish, but I just couldn't stand the thought of Olivia looking at those pictures and thinking she had any right to use that name. What I haven't told anyone in my family is that we got the results back from my latest round of fertility treatments, and it failed. Again. I just can't stomach Olivia's fake sympathy or her inevitable questions about when we might try again that always feel like she's somehow making my struggle part of some competition. Jake is getting really frustrated with me. Last night, we had a fight because I spent like an hour analyzing the comments on Olivia's ultrasound post, and he told me it's just a name, which made me want to scream because he still doesn't get it. It's not just a name. It's about the only connection I have left to my grandmother and the future I've been planning since I was a kid. And the fact that Olivia is taking it away just because she can. He suggested we take a break from family gatherings until things cool down, which I agreed to, while thinking he just doesn't understand what this really means to me. I feel like nobody does. I've been avoiding friends too. Like my friend Sarah texted asking how the fertility treatments were going, and I just ignored it. I can't handle talking about it right now. I've been checking Olivia's baby registry. She bought this pink blanket with roses embroidered on it, and I literally cried for 20 minutes when I saw it. Yesterday, Mom called and made me agree to go to Olivia's gender reveal party next weekend, even though everyone already knows it's a girl, so what's even the point? I said I'd go, but I'm planning to show up like 45 minutes late just to make a point. I already know I'm going to wear Grandma's locket very visibly. I'm becoming someone I don't even recognize. Last night, I spent 3 hours drafting an email to our extended family explaining how Olivia is stealing my baby name, but I didn't send it. I've also been rehearsing what I'll say when I eventually have to hold baby Rose at family gatherings. Everything just feels so unfair, and I don't know how to make anyone understand. I don't know what to do anymore. Now for the second update. So yeah, a lot has happened since my last post. First off, I did what I said I would and showed up like 45 minutes late to the party. Petty. Yes, did it make me feel better? Also, yes. I specifically bought this new blouse the day before, so my grandma's locket would be like super visible. Like the neckline was literally perfect to make sure everyone would notice it. I mean, I know that sounds childish, but at that point, I was just so done with Olivia getting away with everything. When I got to my mom's house, though, oh my freaking God. I almost just turned around and went home because the decorations, everything was so aggressively pink. It was actually ridiculous. And there were roses everywhere, like centerpieces with tiny roses, rose petals scattered all over the tables, and this giant custom cake with Baby Rose written in this fancy pink frosting. It felt like Olivia was literally going out of her way to rub this whole name thing in my face. Like, who even does that? And the worst part was everyone was just acting like this was all normal and fine and great, and I was the only one who saw how messed up it was. I basically just hovered at the edge of everything, trying not to make eye contact with anyone. Harder than it sounds in a backyard party, lol. My mom kept glancing over at me with this nervous look, like she was expecting me to have some kind of meltdown, which honestly, I was pretty close to having. Meanwhile, she was following Olivia around, helping her sit down, because she must be so tired. She's only 4 months pregnant, for God's sake. Not 9. I filled up my wine glass. Twice. Okay, maybe 3 times, but whatever. So I'm standing there when I overhear Olivia telling my cousin and some of her friends how she had always wanted to name a daughter after our grandmother. I literally gripped my wine glass so hard I thought it might shatter. The audacity. I mean, is she actually delusional? Everyone in our family knows I've been talking about naming my daughter Rose since I was like 13. She never even liked our grandma's name until now. She used to say it sounded old lady-ish, which it kind of does, but that's not the point. I was honestly debating whether to just go over there and call her out or just leave and never speak to any of them again. Dramatic, maybe, but I was emotional. Okay. When my great-aunt Carol came up to me, I was expecting another lecture about family harmony or whatever BS my mom had probably put her up to. But instead, she told me she needed to speak with me about something important, and she looked really serious. She took me over to this quiet corner of the yard and said she had something that belonged to me. I was confused because like all the inheritance stuff was settled years ago when Grandma died. But Carol said she had held back certain items because the timing wasn't right until now. I mean, what does that even mean? Why would she keep something from me for 5 years? I was kind of annoyed, to be honest, but also curious. Then she handed me this small wooden box. It looked really old and had these little roses carved into the lid. I know, the irony, right? I opened it, and inside was Grandma Rose's personal diary with a note addressed specifically to me. Carol explained that Grandma had left specific items for both Olivia and me before she died, and this diary was meant for me. I started flipping through it and noticed there were multiple pages bookmarked with these little fabric scraps. Carol pointed out that these were all entries where Grandma had written about our special bond. And guys, one entry specifically mentioned how happy she was that I was planning to name my daughter Rose someday. Carol showed me where Grandma had written about how proud she was that I wanted to name my daughter after her. I was like, shaking reading this. Carol squeezed my hand and told me Grandma wanted me to have this when I needed it most. And I just started crying because it felt like Grandma was somehow there with me again. It was like validation that I wasn't making this whole thing up about our special bond. But of course, Olivia had to ruin the moment. She must have been watching us because suddenly she was right there, demanding to know what we were whispering about. She basically accused me of trying to get special attention from Carol and said I was always claiming to be Grandma's favorite. And I just snapped. I don't even know what came over me, but without even thinking, I opened the diary to one of the bookmarked pages and just started reading it out loud. It was this entry where Grandma wrote about how disappointed she was that Olivia was always comparing herself to me instead of appreciating her own strengths. And then there was this part where she explicitly wrote about how happy she was that I would carry on her name someday. The whole backyard went quiet. Olivia lunged forward trying to grab the diary from me, but I held it away. She was yelling that it was probably fake, or that I made it up somehow, but she was crying while saying it. I showed everyone the handwriting, which anyone in our family would instantly recognize as Grandma's, plus all the dated entries going back years. Olivia started screaming that I was trying to ruin her special day out of jealousy, and that I was just making this all up because I couldn't handle her being the center of attention. That's when I told everyone I had found out 3 days earlier that I'm 8 weeks pregnant. She immediately accused me of lying just to steal her attention. So I reached into my purse and pulled out the ultrasound confirmation and lab results that I had kind of coincidentally brought with me. I didn't originally plan to announce it at her party, but at that point I was just so done with her and the whole situation. I mean, I'd been carrying the results around because I was still in shock about it myself after so many failed treatments. Jake looked completely shocked. Yeah, I hadn't told him yet either. That was not my proudest moment, to be honest. I was planning to surprise him that night with like a special dinner and everything, but instead, he found out alongside everyone else at my sister's gender reveal party. His face went through like 5 different emotions in 10 seconds. First confusion, then shock, then happiness, then hurt, then confusion again. God, I felt awful seeing his face. But also, part of me was just so caught up in finally having proof that I was right about the name thing, that I wasn't thinking clearly. My mom immediately tried to do damage control by suggesting both babies could be named Rose. Seriously, Mom, that's your solution. I just coldly responded that I'd already decided on Rose Elizabeth, using Grandma's full name. That's when Olivia completely lost it, because apparently she didn't even know Elizabeth was Grandma's middle name. She was like, what? Her middle name was Elizabeth, which just proves my whole point about who was actually closer to Grandma. I've known her full name was Rose Elizabeth since I was like 8 years old, because we actually talked about real things, not just like superficial stuff. People started making these awkward excuses to leave. One of Mom's friends literally said she forgot she had laundry in the dryer. She lives 30 minutes away. Like, she couldn't even come up with a better excuse than that. My cousin just mumbled something about needing to feed his cat and practically ran to his car. So that was about 3 months ago. A lot has changed since then. Olivia announced on Instagram, like 2 weeks after the party, that she's naming her daughter Lily, with this whole post about how it was always her first choice name, which is such obvious BS. At a family dinner last month, Mark, her husband, accidentally called their unborn baby Rose, and Olivia burst into tears and left the table. Part of me felt bad, but also, karma. Is that terrible to say? Okay, it probably is, but whatever. I'm being honest here. My mom is now treating both of us with this weird neutral caution, like she's afraid to show any preference either way. It's actually kind of refreshing, to be honest, even if it took all this family mess to get there. Like, she actually asks about my baby now too, instead of just focusing on Olivia's. Jake was really hurt that I hadn't told him about the pregnancy first. We had some pretty intense conversations about trust. He kept saying, I thought we were partners in this, and I felt awful. We're seeing a counselor now, and things are better. Not perfect, but better. He's asked me to stop talking about family stuff at home, which I'm trying to respect. It's hard though, because I just want to analyze every single interaction. I've arranged Grandma's diary and some other keepsakes in this memory box for my daughter. I feel victorious, but also kind of hollow about how everything played out. My relationship with Olivia might never really recover, and sometimes I wonder if winning this battle was worth it. But I don't regret exposing the truth. Though I'll admit, I still check Olivia's social media daily, partly for updates, but mostly to make sure Lily is still the baby's name. Is that petty? Probably. Mom suggested recently that we might start fresh after both babies are born, but I know some patterns are too deep to just disappear. Edit. Thanks for all the support and advice on my previous posts. I really wasn't expecting so many comments. Edit 2. A lot of people are asking about Jake. Yes, he was upset. I didn't tell him first about the pregnancy, but we're working through it. I had planned a special dinner that night to tell him and had this whole thing planned with a little pair of baby shoes wrapped up, so revealing it at Olivia's party was definitely not how I wanted it to go down. He's excited about the baby, but still hurt about how he found out.